Action.
Hey, I'm Sean.
I'm Brad. Hello.
Welcome to Custom Offsets TV. You're gonna learn today, boy.
All right, guys. So I guess Sean didn't want to tell you, but today we're going to be learning about air pressure in your tires, because that seems to be a pretty popular subject, because no one knows what to run and everyone has different opinions, and today we're going to share our opinion on air pressure.
Trucks decked out, roll it to the wood and it flexed out. Rims so big and the windows black, got the knob all lit up, double chromed out stacks. Yeah, we love to get them dirty, but still they so clean. Custom offsets, team chances, the team, we on top of it now. We ain't never gonna fade, so you better get ready for taking over the game.
So you've probably already seen, if you haven't, go check it out. We did a load index video. So that gets into the vehicle ratings, the axle ratings, figuring out what you need for a load index for your tires. That is a number on the side of it. Go watch the load index video if you want to see all that. We're not doing that today. On that video and on a bunch of other ones, people keep asking, but I've got a Chevy Silverado half ton, a F-150 half ton. What should I run for tire pressure, right? I hear it every freaking day because they go from all-terrain tires to mud tires. They show up, we send them out pretty much all at about 35 pounds, 32 to 35 pounds, which is pretty much what most of them run, isn't it?
Yeah, half ton, yeah. Probably for a half ton truck, yeah.
And if you look on the door placard, that's pretty much what it's going to tell you, right? It's probably 32 PSI or something like that they want it.
Yeah, and a half ton around there. It also depends like on the tire. Like you said, some of the half tons nowadays actually run a P-rated tire or a passenger-rated tire because I mean, with the technology nowadays, the passenger-rated tires can hold a pretty good amount of load compared to, back in the day. So, and they offer.
You said hold a good load. So
I don't know what I said.
So what Brad was just showing me, what I've always done is I just went off of what I think the vehicle runs. As it turns out, you can just look on the door, and this one will tell you flat out the stock tire size, the stock wheel size, and then what PSI they suggest to run. So they're talking 37 PSI, and then that goes hand in hand with what the rating is for the axles. So that means that I should be running these tires at 37 PSI, irregardless of what it says on the sidewall, you're saying, basically?
Yeah, but as long as that rating isn't higher than what, the maximum is on the tire, which in this case it isn't.
Yep.
But if someone has the wrong tires on their vehicle and they have a passenger tire or something on their truck and they'll say the max pressure is, say, 35 PSI, don't put it to 37.
So this one says max 65 PSI. If I throw it on this Super Duty, which wants 80, and jack it up to 80, I'm basically running an unsafe tire because I've overrun the PSI in the tire, right?
Yeah, you're running an underrated tire in terms of load handling capacity.
I think that's the one we see the most is people buy mud tires.
Yeah,
it's a load E, so they think that it's okay, but it's a max 60 PSI. Their TPMS light comes on because when they get them, they're at 35. So they crank them up to until the light goes off, which would be 80. And now you're running a mud tire down the road way over pressured. Yeah, and it probably runs like a dump truck, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and then
if you don't die.
That's how they blow up.
Yep.
Because of heat buildup and all that. But yeah, and so on this truck we had an issue where the truck calls for, if you look on the door here,
this one's on
it's
here.
over there. You can see, I don't know if you want to.
He's the expert.
If you want to look at that or not.
Do a close-up, bro.
Yeah, come over here, dude.
Let's all get in here. Come on, Fuller.
Let's huddle up a little.
Yeah, it looks
This
good.
truck, if you look, it's a little clearer.
I like
here.
this
Just
one.
look at this one. This truck calls for in the front, they call for 60 PSI, and in the rear calls for 80 PSI. And typically, 3/4 and 1-ton trucks always call for more PSI in the rear because when you're hauling or towing, all the weight's going to be in the rear, as opposed to up front, which is just, you got to fix the weight up front. It's not variable. You're not loading the front up and stuff. You're loading the back up.
Unless you have turb skis.
Unless you got twin turb skis or something. But yeah, so this truck calls for 80 in the back and 60, what did I say, 65 in the front?
60 up front.
60 in the front. So what happened was they came to us with like 30 or 35 PSI in them. And when we put them on the truck, immediately the TPMS light comes on the dash because the truck knows that there's not enough air in the tires. Well, fortunately, these tires are the proper load index for this truck. They're actually a little heavier duty.
Yeah, 129.
It has a 129 load index, so they're actually a little heavier duty than what the truck came with. So they do have a max pressure of 80 PSI, which is what the rear will call for. under max load circumstances. So if you're gonna load this truck to the max, you're gonna wanna run your maximum pressure that's recommended, so 80 PSI, to get the maximum load carrying capacity out of the tire. But then up front, you run 60 PSI in the front because that's what it calls for based on the weight that's on the front of the truck and blah, 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 and all the engineers figure that out.
Yeah.
And then what do we want to say here?
Well, basically, so that's the ideal, right?
Yeah.
So could you run both of these at 60?
Yeah, absolutely.
Could you put mud tires on here and run them at 35?
You could, depending on, you know, if you were gonna run mud tires at 35 PSI, you're not gonna be putting 2,000 pounds in the bed.
Yeah.
You know, you can only load your truck as much as the tires will allow it, pretty much. People don't really think of that, but if you think about it, your whole vehicle's riding on that little pocket of air under the rim there.
So you can do it, but you're probably gonna die.
Well, you could do it as long as your unloaded weight is safe for what the tire's rated for, I guess you should say.
So I ran into that with my 3/4 ton. It's a gasser, so it's not as heavy as your diesel's gonna be. And then I wanted mud tires, and nobody was making a load index tire big enough back then.
Yeah.
So all I did was they were max 65 like those, so I ran them up to 55. That was enough to make my TPMS light go off, and I just knew that I couldn't load the truck up or pull the trailer of the max weight. I knew I just had to take it easy. And I think, you know, that's what we got back from the load index videos. People are saying, but I can. Well, yeah, you can do whatever you want. But we're telling you what our advice is to follow the placards on the vehicle, compare them to the maxes on the tires, and that's what you should be running. So, you know, as tire professionals, which Brad is, right? Somebody around here is.
I swear.
We're saying to follow those. So that's your ideal, but you can go different variants within.
And the one thing,
of that.
yeah, the one thing also is, you know, people ask what's optimal, and every tire's kind of going to be a little different what they like better, because you'll see people overinflate tires or underinflate tires, and that's kind of a trial and error thing once you have a tire on your truck. So for this tire, for instance, it says max PSI is 80. Now I wouldn't go running around with 80 PSI in the back tires at all times like the truck calls for, because it's going to start wearing. You'll see wear just occurring in the center of the tire here.
Because you're reducing the contact patch so much?
Yeah, because you're pressurizing the tire so much. Most of the surface area on the tire where it's touching the ground is just going to be concentrated in this area.
Yeah.
Because it's pumped all the way up, and you'll get a wear just right here in the middle here, and that's how you'll tell that you're overinflating your tires. So if you're going to be running around empty or unloaded all the time, there's nothing wrong with running them down to 60 PSI and matching the front or something like that. But then
now this truck will yell at you, won't it? It'll say
yeah.
TPMS is the
when you
tires are low in the rear.
Yeah, the TPMS works basically, there's a threshold. So the computer looks for 80 PSI, and once it's probably like 25, once it sees a 25% differential in pressure, it'll set the light off.
Okay.
So once it reaches that, it'll set the light off, but as long as you make sure you don't actually have a flat, and you can ignore the light. But
oh, don't do that for legal reasons.
Yeah. Okay, don't do that. But yeah, you can, if, like I said, if you're going to be running around unloaded, there's no reason that you can't be running your rears at, say, 60 PSI or something under the maximum rating. But then when you do go to tow, you want to bump them back up to 80 PSI or for their max pressure, for their max load capability. Should we go check out that guy's tires? See if he's got the right load index?
That guy's creeping me out. He's pulling way too much weight, and those tires look shifty at best. So to boil it down, should I never knew tire pressure, you're basically read the door placard, look at the sidewall of the tire, see if you can match that. If you didn't, you bought the wrong tires, and then do whatever the hell you want to do, because it's kind of too late and you just got to make do or go get new tires. But ideally, you would be running what that door says. What we would say for a half ton is 30 to 35 pounds is pretty much what we see everybody running. It's pretty much how we're going to send them to your doorstep. If you're getting them for this vehicle, we don't get into that level of detail. You need to add air to them when you get them and air them up to match the vehicle. But your TPMS light will be coming on, letting you know that you're way off. So it's always ideal. Every one of them is going to have that door placard. Just match it up and then make sure that your tire can handle it. And that's what you should be running. So any more questions, check out the load index video. If you guys want to know anything else, let us know. I mean, this was a spur of the moment. People keep asking about tire pressure. We took our best crack at it. Nobody got hurt, except for maybe that guy.
That guy might be dead.
Yeah, he died. Peace, we're out.
See ya. I want an ice cream. That'd be, that could go, I could go for ice cream right now.